Okie dokie, artichoke. So let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to the DPT to CEO podcast. If you're new here, my name is Morgan, and I'm a physical therapist and a business coach for clinicians just like you and me who are starting and growing their own solo cash-based practices. And on this interview series that we do here on the podcast, I'm interviewing other clinicians just like us who are doing the thing. And today we are joined by a very special, very honorable, amazing guest, Nicole. Nicole, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and saying hi to the crowd.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name's Nicole. I'm a physical therapist specializing in women's pelvic health here in New Jersey, the Garden State. And I've been working with Morgan since last January, and it's been amazing. So I'm excited to be here and chat with everybody.
Yay, exciting. Yeah, and we were just before we got on the recording. I feel like this is just such a special hour for us to share where Nicole and I can really just like yap back and forth about so many things. It is always a good time when we have our meetings. And so today I think it'll be cool. It'll be cool to see where these two brain cells go and what we have to talk about. So it'll be good. But I guess maybe to kick things off, Nicole, tell us a little bit more about like, I don't know, maybe kind of like your journey like as a physical therapist and like what brought you into the world of like starting your own business. Let's start there.
All right. Well, I graduated from PT school in 2021, like winter 2021. I started my career in an insurance-based outpatient clinic. And from day one, I was always doing pelvic health, a mix of pelvic health and ortho. So I learned very early kind of what that setting was like, and went into it kind of, obviously very green and not knowing what to expect and having high hopes that, this is going to be the best place ever and like the great start to my career. And there were some good things about it, but also at the same time, anybody who works in the insurance-based setting can relate to the high volume, just back to back to back patients, doubled and tripled slots, 70 plus patients a week, and just feeling kind of compromised in what you can do and how you can do it. And once I started seeing that, it got really hard to enjoy what I was doing. Like I found that I really loved working with my patients. I loved having the time to build the rapport and the relationship and, get a deeper understanding of their entire history and like everything that played into their symptoms. But I just, you never had enough time with them. It was always, 10, 15 minutes if you're lucky of one-on-one time before you have like a knock at the door being like, Nicole, there's patient in the lobby. Nicole, there's 2 patients in the lobby. Nicole, like, just being pulled in
20 patients in the lobby.
100 patients are here for you now. In this 1 hour. That's what it felt like. It was ridiculous. So it got very overwhelming very fast. And I always like jokingly say it was like soul crushing,
Yeah.
And I was very early on that I started wondering, how am I going to do this for the next 40 years? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I knew I couldn't, like, emotionally it was draining and physically I was exhausted and I didn't have energy for myself. So I just dealt with it for about 3 years. And then probably like halfway through that 3rd year, I started trying to figure out what else I could do. I started seeing more cash-based clinics popping up, and I started realizing that maybe I could do this another way. And at first I thought maybe I would just I'm dry needling certified. So I thought I'll just do dry needling on the side and I'll see what I can do with that, that fell through. So I figured, okay, I think I just have to leave and like do the thing. So long way of saying it took me 3 years, but eventually I finally took the leap and decided to open, and just a lot of pieces really fell into place for me opening. I don't know how much you want me to just keep rolling into that because it's
Yeah.
a long story.
Yeah, tell us
Okay.
whatever you want, Nicole. This is your time. You are in the spotlight.
So by the time I was ready to leave, I had created my LLC. I had done all the things to set up the business. All I had to do was find somewhere to operate from, and an office to rent. So I got very, very lucky as a pelvic health provider that an OBGYN locally was looking for someone to rent a room, and he didn't want someone to work for him. He just wanted someone like me who had their own
Mhm.
business and could just occupy the space that he could trust to refer patients to. And that was one of the pieces that just fell into place from the start. And I
Tell
was
them
so
about the email list.
how dare you bring up the email? Gosh. So this bless this man for providing me with his email list so that I could share my information with his patients and I could, promote my services. And I didn't touch that email list for over a year. Yeah, that's okay. We fixed
It's learning.
it's
Yeah. And we
learning.
fixed it.
We fixed it. But yeah, so I started out in this office and it was honestly the best. It was the best thing that could have happened to me starting out because not only was it obviously very helpful because it's an OBGYN office and I'm a public health physical therapist,
Yeah.
but the OBGYN himself was just like the most supportive, the kindest, the most like he had a very holistic outlook. We were very aligned in a lot of things. So it made everything so much easier. Like this, it's a big, scary jump. Like it's
Yeah.
terrifying, and you're leaving a lot of security, and stability. And so it really, really helped to have all these amazing people in my corner. So that was great. It was one singular room, no windows. It's how we start. So
Yeah.
I just started, and I remember like having my first patient come in, and it felt like the first day of work. It was uncomfortable, awkward, scary, nerve-wracking, and of course it went fine. And it was, but even like, checking them out the first time and like receiving my first payment was weird. Very weird. Like, and then that was probably the start of this whole money mindset journey that I've gone on too,
Mm. Mm.
realizing that my services are worth something, that my expertise are worth something. And that's come a long way, as you know, in the past year of working
Yeah.
here too. But yeah, so that's how I started. That's how I got into my business, and here we are 2 years later.
Yeah. And you're doing so well. And you have your own space now.
Yes, I have my own space. That was another thing that just kind of fell in line. Um I'm a big believer in, what you put out is like the energy you put out is the energy that will come back to you. And trying to be aligned with the things that you want in life. And, in a simpler way, just like fake it till you make it. And after I thought I was going to be in this OBGYN office for like at least a few years, at least like 3 to 5 years, I thought, because it was, a lower overhead cost to be there, and it was the best referral source I could ask for. And I really loved the people. So I was like, this is great. I don't have to, I don't have to do anything. Um, and it was going well, but it could have been going a little better, but that's why I reached out to you. But
Yeah.
after, I was a year and a half, maybe a little longer than a year and a half into business. And someone that I had met through networking, you know, about a year prior, reached out and said, hey, I just bought this building in Clark, which was 15 minutes from my current office. And he said, I bought this building. It has 2 floors. My business is going to occupy the second floor. The first floor used to be an OBGYN office. Do you want to look at it? Do you know anyone who would be interested? And my first thought at that point was like, and this was in July. So this was, I don't know, 5 months ago. Um, my first thought was, oh, I can't afford that. And
Mm-hmm.
I just immediately kind of wanted to shut it down. And I said, yeah, I'll keep an eye out for you. And then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Why not? Like, let's just go have fun and go look at it. So I looked at it that
Yeah.
day, actually. And I walked in there, and when I tell you, like, everything about it was perfect for what I always envisioned the next step being. Um, Great location. It had its own parking lot. It had the perfect amount of rooms. I could have more space to myself. I had opportunities to grow now. I could have, renters, and I could make this collaborative experience. I was like seeing it all flash before my eyes as I walked through there. And then, realizing that I actually could make it work financially, I said yes to that. Um, Left the OBGYN office sooner than I ever thought I would, but it was the most aligned the business has ever felt being in this new space. And like, I think I've told you on other calls, sometimes I'm at work and I finish for the day and I stay another like 2 hours because I just don't want to leave.
Yeah.
It's just become that place for me, which is like a weird feeling when you have had jobs in the past that you just like couldn't wait to go home.
Yeah.
So that's really satisfying too. It's just, yeah, it's been really, really great. I have a massage therapist in there. I have a functional medicine practitioner in there with me. We can, recommend people to one another. We can, chat patient cases when the patient says it's okay, and like get other feedback from people and do fun workshops. It's just been really awesome.
Nicole, I'm so happy for you.
I'm happy for me too. It's
Yay.
wild. It's so wild.
It is. And like, like all of this took place over the course of like 2 years.
Yeah.
All of these changes.
I never, ever, ever thought I'd have, because when we first started, one of the things that I wrote in my, I remember like my form, because we looked at this recently, was like, what's my long-term big dream goal? And I was like, oh, like one day I hope that I have a brick and mortar space, and so far in the future, I can't even imagine, and here we are. I just really never, ever thought it would happen that fast.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, like it took 2 years, but like it was only 2 years at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is just like, it's crazy to think about. And I appreciate you sharing all of that. And, I hope for everybody listening, I feel like your story, like obviously it's unique, but like so many people can relate to it. Like we've been through so much of the same stuff, and have felt so many of the same things. And, like I know myself, like I remember just, kind of feeling the same thing with like also my 100 patients in the lobby, and like, just being like, oh my God, like, did I pick like the wrong career? Like, did I make like a huge mistake? And it was so confusing because like like I love treating patients, like I love helping people with their health, but it was just the environment and like the structure was just like not what I wanted, not what I pictured. And so like I'm sure, dear listener, like you can probably relate to us on all of that stuff. I'd love to like hear a little bit more, Nicole, about like one thing that I really like about you is that you're very decisive. I think, like as opportunities come up, like like you think about it a little bit, but like you follow your gut and like go for stuff. And like I think that's really led you to be as successful as you are. But I'd love for you to speak to a little bit more, like just like that initial leap of like going from like working for somebody else to working for yourself, because a lot of people are like stuck there, and feel scared and they're worried about all of that. Like, how did you like overcome the fear, I suppose, or like maybe made friends with it and just like did it anyway? Tell us a little bit more about that experience.
Yeah. That is so true, because I know so many people who are stuck there right now, and I want them so badly to just take that leap. But I get it, because we've all felt it. Those of us who have started this, like we know what that feels like and how scary it is. So I totally get that. What you said, like maybe making friends with it. There was something, I don't know, maybe you heard the same podcast that I did way back when, but I remember a friend of mine who also started her own business, years before me, shared this with me. And one of the things in this podcast said something about how, fear, even two things actually. Even the most successful people in the room are scared. Like, we're all scared. It's just, do you let it paralyze you, or do you acknowledge it and like let it ride in the passenger seat next to you and say like, you can stay here, I'm in the driver's seat, versus switching those roles.
Yeah.
And I always loved that, and that really stuck with me because it's so true. Like, it's not even like you stop being scared. I mean, I still get nervous for things sometimes with the business,
Mm-hmm.
but I've gotten a lot better over the past 2 years at just acknowledging it, but like not letting it stop me from doing anything. And I think originally when I first opened, honestly, it was more about me being really like pissed off and frustrated.
Yeah.
And that kind of overpowered the fear. So I think for me, that was the biggest thing. I also, not only was I frustrated enough to just not like no longer accept my current reality, because that probably was the biggest factor. But the other thing was that, like I said, there were so many other people doing this already that I saw that it could be done. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I have a brain. I'm a doctor. I I can figure this out. Like, why not, right? Like, if the Joe Schmo down the street can do it, I can do it, you
Yeah.
know? And I think it there's also these quotes about like, you have to be like a little delulu to just do it. Like, honestly, be like delusional and optimistic, and you will succeed. Like, just
Right.
go for it. But a lot of my friends who had their own businesses gave me so much great advice, and we've talked about this before, like just starting scared, starting messy, starting half baked. Like, you're never gonna, in the beginning, I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted to have, I even set up a per diem job. I didn't just like jump in full force to this and expect it to take off. I started the business, but even before I started treating those patients, I had signed on per diem with another company, kind of like as a safety net, which is so reasonable, and it's
Mm-hmm.
where most of us start. Um, but I did that for probably 5 or 6 months when I first
Mm-hmm.
started Catalyst. That's my business name, and I, it just took away from my focus, from what I was doing, what I was trying to achieve with my own business. And I also realized like I couldn't, now that I had tasted freedom, I couldn't go to the other place. I couldn't go back to the bad place. I had to just keep doing my thing and like putting my energy into the thing that I was like trying to build. And the per diem job, I over the weeks of being there, I just realized it wasn't worth it. And
Mm-hmm.
that need for the safety net got less and less and less as I, again, like, knew what it was like to live by my own rules and my own schedule and treat the way I wanted to treat, and when and how I wanted to treat. And I just realized I didn't need that anymore, and it was only holding me back. So I've seen a lot of other therapists maintain per diem and part-time jobs, and sometimes even full-time jobs, while they try to start their businesses. And I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do, because I needed it for a time for myself as
Mm-hmm.
well. But I think the split focus was a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it was like, I started because I was frustrated and I didn't want my life to look this way and my career to look this way, because I knew I loved what I did, but I was hating how I had to do it.
Yeah.
And then once I finally did it, I was like, okay, I got to just let the rest of this go.
Yeah.
So hopefully I answered your question and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, like you said, I think like going back to the fear stuff, it's sort of like if you think about it, Nicole, right? Every single day is a totally like new experience. And like you've never lived this day before. So
Mhm.
like in a way, every single day can be kind of scary, you know, because
Yeah.
you've never done it before.
Yep.
And it's sort of like with the business, right? Like you're doing something new that you haven't done before. And I even think about like, you know, the first day of PT school. You've never been a PT before, you know, like that's kind of scary as well. Um, you can just like you can either like let it consume you and you can let it like drive you around, or honestly just like it's in the driver's seat and you're just sitting in the driveway and like you're not really going anywhere.
Right.
You know, because it can't find the keys, like the GPS is not working, like whatever, the you know, like the fear will keep you in the driveway, like, or you can just be like, look, you're a terrible driver. I'll drive. I get it. Like you're gonna be around, but like I'm gonna drive this thing
Yeah.
because like it's my life. And I think that's like a big choice that needs to be made like right from the get-go, because like I said, like every single day for the rest of your life and like for the rest of the time that you're in business, like new things are always going to keep coming up.
Mhm.
And like it's always going to be kind of scary no matter what level you get to, and it's just kind of like embracing that. um and I love that you brought up the like doing things messy, because so many of us are also like very like hell bent on everything needs to like look and feel perfect constantly, but
Oh.
like it's just not real.
Mhm.
How do you feel like that you were able to kind of like work yourself through that, like the perfectionism kind of thing?
Well, I think of the perfectionism mostly in terms of how I was presenting my business to
Mm-hmm.
everyone, like social media, my website. I guess that those were the main pieces, like what I was putting out on the internet. So I would spend a stupid amount of time making Instagram posts and like crafting the captions before ChatGPT became everyone's business partner. And
Mm-hmm.
I, oh my gosh, it was like hours and hours for one post. It was like unreasonable. And you know, then you get humbled because you get like 2 likes and no comments, and you're like, okay, so why did I spend 6 hours making this post about dry needling?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was kind of like just with the reps, the reps of that as things built. This is like early on. I kind of just got desensitized to trying to be perfect with it, and I
Mm-hmm.
realized like the amount of effort. It also like didn't matter if 2 people saw it or if 1,000 people saw it. It
Mm-hmm.
was just like I just needed to start being consistent. And once I kind of realized that, it made it a little bit easier to just be like, okay, I just need to like get stuff out here, like
Yeah.
start showing people that I exist and I have knowledge to share and I can help with things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think just realizing that I just needed to get the reps in and get the visibility, it just helped me flip that switch. But it was hard. It's not easy to not want it, everything to look perfect, you know, because everybody, all of us doing this, deal with some level of imposter syndrome at some point. And so I also had the thought of like, well, there are so many other pelvic PTs or pelvic OTs, like pelvic floor therapists out here doing this already and sharing this information already. So like what makes me so special that I think I should share something, you know, how am I different? And ugh, what a stupid thought, because like I'm pretty cool.
You are.
So I that was another big mindset shift for me where I was also like, I no one has my brain. I don't have your brain. I don't have, you know, my next door neighbor's brain or the doctor down the street's brain. We all think so differently. Our all of our experiences and our educational backgrounds and our interests shape how we treat and how we view patients so
Mm-hmm.
differently that anything I say is going to be unique to
Mm-hmm.
me and what I have to share. So I kind of just I was like, it's silly of me to worry about this. Like, no one is going to be able to say what I say. Just like I can't predict what anyone else is going to say on the internet and in their,
Mm-hmm.
you know, on their platforms and whatever. Um, but yeah, I kind of, I was very happy to get over that little hump though of trying to perfect everything because it's very stressful. And
Yeah.
you just learn that it's unnecessary. Like with more reps,
Mm-hmm.
you realize you don't need to be doing that.
Yeah, right. Like the focus like really needs to be on like getting the information to the humans who need help with their health.
Right.
You know, not stressing about like, you know, whatever, did this transition like look okay in this
Exactly.
video? You know, that like what, like maybe if we're lucky a few hundred people might see, right? You know, maybe a few more, but um you know, it just, you have to show up in order to help the people that we're trying to help. um and I think that's a really important point that you brought up. And this also is reminding me, Nicole, and this wasn't something that I had put in my notes. So we're going to kind of take a little detour here. But something else that I feel like was a really big transition for you this year is sort of like applying like a similar mindset to your sales process in the way that like you're talking to people on the phone and during evaluations,
Mhm.
because your conversion rate went from like this much to like we got on, you guys, like chat right before we like started recording this. Nicole's just like, oh yeah, I got 5 calls and booked 5 evals, so like it's just like a regular week in practice. And so I would love for you to share with us like a little bit more about like your story with like how like you started the year, right?
Mhm.
um and like things that we like worked on, things that like you implemented to like help that sales process more.
Yeah. So, gosh, I'm trying to remember even what my sales process looked like before I don't know, had some confidence in myself. But actually, no. So I have this vivid memory, this like visceral, disgusting memory of sitting in my car, taking one of my first consult calls, like a discovery
Mhm.
call, for a potential patient. And you know, when you first start, every new call is like life or death. You're like, I can't lose this. You know, it's my only shot. So, so I remember sitting in my car taking this call, and I had like scribbled on a piece of paper, like even just like words for me to say, like things to remember how I wanted to say it, and like, oh my god, I was so nervous. It makes me so sad to think about now. Like, not judging old Nicole, because listen, we had to go through it, but
Right.
it's hard. It's really hard. I didn't feel like I wasn't, I'm not a salesperson. I wasn't a businesswoman. I was just a PT trying to like do it differently. And so that part of it felt very inauthentic at first,
Mhm.
until I realized, like, and this came when we started working together, and probably arguably was probably one of the biggest shifts that I made, and like one of the most important shifts that I made. And it was literally just something you said on one of our calls that was like, we were talking about this sales process and getting people on the phone, and you know, I guess maybe what was making me so nervous about that, or like why I felt weird talking about my prices, or maybe I was over explaining something, or whatever it might have been. And you were like, you're the doctor. I was like, what? I am. You were like, you are the expert in this situation. You are the authority in this situation. They are calling you because they want to know what you think. They want to know, patients want to know what you recommend. That's why they're calling. And I was like, oh, it was so silly. I was like, yeah, wow, that's so right. It's so simple, but it's like, you don't, I don't know. It was just a weird thing that I needed reframed. And once you said that, I was like, yeah, I am the doctor. I do know what will probably help this person. I can make that recommendation. And like that day, everything was different. I was like, okay.
Mhm.
And then I started getting calls, and I don't even know, I couldn't even tell you like what words were different that I said, or whatever, but I think it was just honestly a lot of my, probably how I sounded, like my demeanor on the phone probably changed. I
Mhm.
feel like I probably sounded more sure of myself and my recommendations. I used to tell patients, I'm remembering one thing that was like, a now I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, Nicole, that was crazy pants. But I patients would be like, I'm dealing with XYZ symptoms. Um, and I would be like, okay, like I can help with that. and they'd be like, okay, so like, how does this work? How do sessions work? And I would say, okay, like, this is how the eval works. And then for follow-ups, here's where it got messy. I'd be like, for follow-ups, you could do individual sessions and that's how much this costs. And then I also have a 4, 8, 12, and 16 session package. And I mean, you can pick whichever one you want. Like, really, any of them are appropriate. I think, like, if you start with 4, maybe we'll need more. We probably will need more. But then, and I would just blah, 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 like word vomit all over this poor person who probably tuned out like 3 seconds into me talking and immediately was like, I'm done with this conversation. Oh God, it's so cringy to think about, but that's how I started. And then after our conversation, I was like, why am I doing that? I don't even need this 4-session package. That's useless. And everyone needs more than that most of the time. I was like, 16 sessions is like way too long for most people. So like, why don't I just keep the 2 in the middle? And if I don't, like, most people feel pretty good after like 6 to 8. So why don't I just push the 8 and explain why? Like, bing, bang, boom, done. And it was just, everything was so simple, but I was over explaining everything because I wasn't confident. I felt like I was also making assumptions about their financial situation, and I was making assumptions that they were calling, and not willing to invest in their health. And that was not my place to assume. So a lot of it was like letting go of my assumptions about the person on the other end of the line and realizing that my only job in this situation is to answer their questions and recommend what I think is best for them, and then shut up.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what I did. And that's worked very well. And honestly, like, and it's not, I thought it would feel more salesy and uncomfortable and like kind of gross for some reason, but it's not, because like once you realize, again, the confidence piece, once you realize that your skills and your expertise are unique and valuable, and you know that they can help somebody, it's almost like your duty to share that. And it's like, don't hold it back. One of my friends said to me, early on when I was feeling this way, she was like, it's almost like selfish of you not to share your skills with people. If you can help even one person, then you have to. And I was like, girl, you're so right. But yeah, it took that was a big switch for me when I started working with you. Just that mindset was a game changer for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, it was just like, it was like a 180, like I feel like you just became so much more confident in so many ways. And obviously, like, your sales like went to the moon, it was like a light switch, that had turned on. And I think like you explained it so well, like in what you were just saying, basically like the approach that you have to take to these conversations, where it really is like it's coming from a place of service, like even though it's technically sales, right? Like you're a clinical expert and you are advising somebody on what you think is going to help, and like the last piece of it really is like having them, booked for an appointment and taking payment. Like the entire conversation, I think like 95% of it is asking questions to figure out what they have going on and figuring out if you can help them and making a recommendation on how, and like that's what you're here to do. You're not here to like sell to people, like you're here to serve them.
Right.
And like the sale is really kind of like the byproduct of that.
Yeah.
And so, to transition us to another topic, right? Like we're getting more into like a very structured and like systematized sales department that you have in your company now, Nicole. And I know something else that you wanted to talk about is just like having systems in place overall. And I was hoping you could tell us a little bit more about like your second year in business versus your first year in business, and maybe like the big difference, I guess, like comparing and contrasting the systems and where you feel like you are now.
Yeah, my first year in business, that's an easy one because I was winging it 100% of the time. I had 0 systems. As we know, I didn't touch that email list. I was networking like my life depended on it, which was probably one of the biggest things that helped me, at the same time that I didn't really have systems,
Mm-hmm.
as I was building a lot of connections in the community, and I still do that because I love it. It's like one of my
Yeah.
favorite parts about having a business, but that was like the only thing I was really doing. And even that, I didn't have a ton of intention behind it aside from like, let's meet and like see how we can help one another. But I didn't even have structure there in terms of realizing how important it is to foster those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, year one was like, no, like content schedule, no, not even like intention behind. I didn't even have anything in my posts about, reach out at the end of the post, like reach out.
Yeah.
Like, what should I do with this information? Like, just enjoy it and then move along? No, like I didn't do any of that. I didn't think about those pieces. I didn't have any way really to. The whole thing that brought me to you was I felt like when my caseload was low, I had no strategy to handle that. That was year one. And that made me feel very unstable and not secure, and it made me not confident that I could make this be my career.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure of it yet. And um year two in starting coaching, that was one of the things I remember bringing up. We talked about how I really just wanted those levers to pull when my caseload was low so that I didn't have to rely on the OBGYN sending me somebody.
Yeah.
I really did not, I was not comfortable just sitting there and twiddling my thumbs and looking at my phone and waiting for it to ring or waiting for an email or whatever. At that point, I don't even think I had an inquiry form on my website. Like I had nothing. I didn't know what I was doing. And all things considered, it wasn't a bad year.
Yeah.
It wasn't great, but it could have been better. And I knew it wasn't sustainable. So then once we started working together, man, I mean, we talked about a lot of things, but now when I make posts, there's more. The whole thing with realizing with social media is the consistency, even with the email stuff, but just like showing up as an authority, as an expert on your platform, getting people used to your face popping up and like learning what to expect from you, and having people come back for content that they expect and anticipate and all of that and benefit from. And so now my posts have more intention, my posts have more consistency, I have reasons behind them, I have calls to action in my stories, in my Instagram posts and my reels and all of that, things that I'd never even thought mattered before. And now just realizing how much help that really is. And then little things too, like the other one that I wasn't doing since I started DMing people when they would follow me. And because I thought, I was like, oh, how annoying. Like I would be so annoyed if somebody DM'd me the second I followed them, like, gross, get away from me, car salesman. Like, I don't want to talk to you. And so I didn't. I was like, no, I'm not going to be that person. And then, but like, it doesn't even have to be like that. I'm just a person. Nope. Like, I'm just, right. I'm not here to like pitch something to you. I'm here to say, hey, hi, I'm a real person. Thanks for following me. If you need anything, I'm here. And that's literally all I've been doing. And that's been so successful in just like connecting with people, which is the whole point.
Yeah.
So like little things like that. And then of course the email list, of course the email list. So now I actually use that amazing email list, and, just that's another way to get your name out. And so many systems, and even the data tracker, the like dreaded data tracker, but it's so good. Like you have to use it, because how else are you going to know? That data tracker, and for people listening who have no idea what I'm talking about, Morgan gives you this Excel spreadsheet that is like the bane of your existence, but so worth it. You put in all of your data from month to month to month. And then, I can look at this over the past year and see how much growth has come and kind of what trends we notice along with that. So even that system has been insanely helpful, because now I know I can see like when I do more workshops, what happens to my bottom line. When I do more Instagram reach out, when I do more networking, blah, 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 whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
how many of my discovery calls are translating into evals and how many evals are translating to plans of care. This was like all the back end business stuff that I had no idea about because I'm just a PT. I'm just here like trying to help people. And so that's where the coaching was a big help because I'm like, I didn't know that stuff. Why would I?
Mm-hmm.
No one ever taught me
Right.
until now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it was a lot of that. And even like, what's it called? The CRM,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
a
that's a good
CRM,
one.
like keeping track of, leads that come in and people that are interested, but maybe fall through the cracks. And just, I never had any of these systems before and it showed. And now that I have them, even when there's always going to be the ebbs and the flows, but now when the ebbs, right? That's the low one. Whenever the ebbs happen, I'm not panicked.
Mm.
I know that I can go to my email list and I can shoot out an email or I can, go through my DMs and see, did I let any of these ones go? Like, should I reach back out? Oh, this person followed up and said they were interested, but we never connected. Let me talk to that person. Let me check my CRM and see how many people have been like sitting over in this column for too long and let's reconnect there. So having things that I can actually, like tangible things that I can actually do when things are low, it made me feel more secure in doing this and making it last long term. So big shifts, year 1 to year 2.
That's awesome, Nicole. And like now I hope you can confidently say like you are a business person.
Oh, hell yeah. I am a businesswoman.
Some might even say DPT to CEO perhaps.
Some might. Some might do that. I heard that on the street today.
Yeah. The people in the streets were talking.
They said, "Is that DPT to CEO, Nicole?" I said, "Hello." See, it's getting late.
Oh my god. That's great. Oh my gosh. I hope you tell everybody in New Jersey that your name is DPT the CEO, Nicole.
Moving forward, that's the new name.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. I feel like this was just like so great to hear, Nicole. Like to hear about like your whole journey and like comparing and contrasting. Like once again, like only 2 years of being in business. Like you're like just coming to the end of your shoot. Like,
mm-hmm.
and so much has shifted for you. And like I'm sure that like you've learned a ton in your business about like shifts that you've had to make like mindset wise in your business have also like permeated like your personal life as well.
Yeah. I always tell people owning a business is the biggest character growth, personal growth that you could ever do.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely has. It's made me more confident in my day-to-day life just as a human.
Yeah.
You realize very quickly that you can do so much. You can do
Mm-hmm.
so much more than you ever thought you could do, and that changes a lot for a person. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Amazing.
Man. If you had like one last like final piece of advice to give somebody who's like on the edge, they're worried about starting their own thing, what would you say?
Ugh, just do it. It's seriously like there's nothing to lose. You can do the thing where you stay with a part-time job or per diem job
Mm-hmm.
for as long as you want. There's nothing to lose by trying, but like so corny, but everything to gain.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it's true. And there are so many people out there that you can talk to and learn from. That's what I did. I learned from all the people who had already done it and were successful. And also you can always learn something.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we became PTs.
Yeah.
You can always learn a new skill. You can always learn how to make your business better. I've said from day one that when I started this business, I was like, and I do think this is something that's helped me be successful at it. I was like, if I start this way and it doesn't work, that's fine. I will do it this way instead.
Mm-hmm.
And if this way doesn't work, I'll do it that way. I'll
Mm-hmm.
figure out something. There's always a way to make it work. And I think people give up too soon or they don't even try. So just do it. You're going to be scared. You're going to be sloppy. It's going to be embarrassing sometimes, but shake it off because it's so worth it when you get it right. It's the best.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself, Nicole. It's like we've hung out for a while or something.
So weird.
Oh man. Okay, and so as we're wrapping this episode up, tell us more about like what you have going on in your business right now. Like what are you promoting and where can people find you?
So my business is called Catalyst Physical Therapy and Wellness. I'm located in Clark, New Jersey. As I said, specialize in women's pelvic health, and I'm dry needling certified. I love taking a holistic approach with all of my patients. So we do a lot of different things, and one of my bigger focuses and joys is focusing on the nervous system. So I have these other sessions called Catalyst for Calm, and they are vagus nerve reset sessions. So doing a lot more with calming the nervous system, helping people get a better baseline control of their stress response, and doing that by targeting the nervous system with dry needling, manual therapy, and red light therapy. So I'm promoting that more often now just because I don't think people know about it, but it is also something I use in my PT sessions with people. So basically, if you're looking for help dealing with bladder, bowel dysfunction, or sexual dysfunction, or you want to optimize your pregnancy and postpartum or perimenopause and menopause, I'm your girl. Love to help you. So, where to find me.
Yay! Awesome. Yay. And then all of Nicole's links will be down in the description below as well. But yeah, thank you, Nicole, so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Morgan.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anytime. We'll do a part 2. We'll do an encore episode because I know all the listeners right now are just like, bring Nicole back.
The people. We gotta let people have what they want.
The people in the streets.
The people in the streets.
Yeah.
I can hear them.
I know. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, this was great. This is so helpful. And to all the listeners out there, like Nicole said, and I mean, I talk about it every episode, just go for it. Like you really can't lose. The worst thing I think that'll happen is that you find out that you don't like it, and at least you tried, and you can move on and you've learned some stuff. So thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching. And oh yeah, if you want help growing your own practice, I would love to talk to you. And you can find out more about our business coaching program, DPT to CEO, down in the description as well. But with that, thank you again, Nicole, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye.